Now from Call 6 Investigates, when something goes wrong and you get hurt, an air ambulance can be the difference between life or death. But what happens after the treatment? Who's responsible for that bill? Call 6 Investigates' Paris Lubell has been working with ABC News' Brian Ross in stations across the country to look into this issue. He joins us live with what they found.
Good evening. An air ambulance bill can range anywhere from $12,000 to $60,000 per flight. And that bill is huge to most people, and insurance companies don't always cover the whole bill. So what does that mean? It leaves people on the hook for tens of thousands of dollars. Across the country, nearly 400,000 people rely on air ambulances each year for a life or death situation. And in 2013, Michelle Rensenz from Rensselaer had to rely on a medical helicopter. After a bad fall, she was taken to a local hospital, but doctors there said she needed to go to a hospital with an ICU. And an air ambulance was called to take her the 45 miles from one hospital to another.
Because I got that immediate care, but given the circumstances after I was airlifted and how that process and their billing was, I think people should be given an option as far as what the risks and the outcomes are going to be if you go either by ground or by air.
Rensenz recovered and then eventually received a bill from PHI Medical for more than $28,000. Her insurance only picked up $12,600 of it, leaving her to come up with $16,000 to cover the bill.
The first letters just seemed to come probably about every 2 to 3 weeks, and then seemed like then they were followed by phone calls a couple of times a week, and then it went from being, you know, how can we help you? We understand, we'll work with you, to we need to determine how much that you can pay us by this date and time, or, you know, we'll report it to a collection agency.
She says they gave her 3 options: a one-time lump sum payment, 2 installment payments, or she could send them all of her financial information and they could determine her monthly payments.
I have a kid in college. I have that financial responsibility as well. So for us, it was just like, something needs to happen.
PHI wouldn't talk about Rensenz's bill, but says it has one of the most compassionate billing practices in the industry, and programs often result in a reduced bill, a payment plan, or in some situations, the elimination of all charges. As a part of an investigation by ABC stations across the country, we found time after time of air ambulances overcharging. According to the Vice President of Payer Services at Air Methods, another for-profit air ambulance company, he admits that they raise the cost for people who are privately insured because they lose money on patients with Medicaid or Medicare.
Look, if everybody paid their fair share, you know what the charge for this service would be? $12,000. That's the reality that we operate in.
In Rensenz's case, she says her husband's employer ended up settling and paying a portion of the balance. Now, in Indiana, there are multiple air ambulance providers. Ones with hospitals like IU's Lifeline are nonprofit companies. Those are likely for any of the ones owned by hospitals to be nonprofit. But then there are those for-profit companies like PHI and Air Methods. Now, which one picks you up in the event of an emergency all depends on the city or the hospital that you're at. Now, you can see more of our investigation with ABC News. It's coming up tonight on a Nightline special, and we have that and more coverage online at theindychannel.com. Now, Indiana's Department of Insurance regulation says you should check with your insurance company to see if they do cover air ambulances and talk with them about upping that coverage if you live in a rural area. Reporting live downtown tonight, Paris Lubell, RTV6.